This situation did not happen by accident, and it did not come out of nowhere. What we are seeing is not random and it is not harmless. It is a calculated move that was carefully thought out, even if it was poorly executed. When Stormi Steele decided to align Canvas Beauty with Martell Holt on TikTok Live, this was not bold marketing. It was a risky decision rooted in desperation, not confidence. And that decision says much more about the current state of her brand than it says about Martell's relevance. Martell Holt is not a neutral figure. He does not walk into spaces without history attached to his name. His public image has already been shaped by years of behavior that played out very publicly. Anyone who knows him from reality television understands exactly who he is and what he represents. That reputation cannot be separated from him. When you attach a brand to someone like that, you are not just gaining attention, you are also inheriting the baggage that comes with him. Stormi knew that going in, and that is exactly why she made the choice she did. Canvas Beauty was once positioned as a success story. It was seen as a Black-owned brand built through hustle, social media, and visibility from reality television. Stormi entered that space through Melody, not through Martell and not through controversy. Her association with Melody helped legitimize her presence. Melody's discipline, work ethic, and calm approach gave Stormi credibility early on. That history matters because the way Stormi is moving now looks very different from how she moved then. When a product is doing well, it does not need chaos to sell. When a brand is strong, it does not need controversy to stay relevant. Solid brands rely on quality, trust, and consistency. But when sales slow down, when lawsuits start stacking up, when customers complain about delayed orders, and when trust begins to crack, attention becomes a form of currency. At that point, it no longer matters if the attention is positive or negative. What matters is that people are talking. This TikTok Live was not about deep conversation. It was not about growth, learning, or meaningful discussion. It was about distraction. Stormi needed people watching. She needed engagement, reactions, arguments, and viral moments. Martell Holt is perfect for that role because his presence alone creates controversy. He does not need to do much. His history does the work for him. Stormi's decision to bring Martell into her brand space was not about admiration or shared values. It was about need. She needed noise. She needed eyes on her products, even if those eyes came with criticism. Martell brings that kind of attention easily, but the problem is that Martell does not elevate brands. They drain them. If we look at Martell's track record, it tells a clear story. His wine business did not succeed. The calendar came and went. The children's book did not gain traction. The lawsuits led nowhere. Every business idea attached to him follows the same pattern. Loud announcements, heavy promotion at the start, and then quiet disappearance. There is no consistency, no discipline, and no follow-through. These are not opinions, these are patterns. So the idea that Martell was suddenly chosen as a promotional asset for Canvas Beauty does not signal strength, it signals panic. Stormi understands that Martell is polarizing. She understands that his name triggers emotional reactions. That is exactly why she used him. This was not about shared goals. It was about manufacturing urgency by using a known liability. That is where this becomes dangerous. When you attach your brand to someone known publicly for dishonesty, manipulation, and disrespect toward women, you are making a statement. You are telling your audience that visibility matters more than values. You are telling women that their experiences can be overlooked if the numbers look good. That is not branding. That is exploitation. The situation became even more uncomfortable with the presence of Lala. Lala represents a very different image. She is polished, respected, and associated with professionalism and longevity. Her involvement created confusion because it gave the appearance of legitimacy to a situation that lacked it. Sitting across from someone does not automatically mean endorsement, but choosing to share space with them publicly does send a message, and that message was what viewers reacted to. The backlash was not rooted in jealousy or hate, it was disbelief. People could not understand why someone like Lala would lend credibility to a man whose actions are well documented. Martell talks about provision while failing to provide. He talks about protection while causing harm. He talks about leadership while avoiding responsibility. That contradiction is not accidental. It is consistent with who he has always shown himself to be. Stormi is aware of Martell's unresolved obsession with Melody. Every time he is given a public platform, he uses it to rewrite history and paint himself as the victim. By placing him on a platform connected to someone once close to Melody, Stormy reopened a narrative she claims to be detached from. This is where the betrayal conversation resurfaces. Stormy entered the show as Melody's friend. That was her introduction to the audience. That was her credibility. Yet over time, she has aligned herself with people who have directly harmed Melody. That is not coincidence. That is competition masked as neutrality. Stormy has benefited from Melody's platform while minimizing Melody's experiences, and now she is using Martell's ex-husband as a marketing tool. That choice speaks volumes. This is about ego. This is about proving something. This is about staying visible at any cost. But attention built on controversy is unstable. It does not build loyalty. It does not create trust. It creates short-term spikes followed by long-term damage. Martell does not bring buyers. He brings chaos. Chaos does not keep customers. The public reaction made that very clear. People were not asking about Canvas beauty products. They were not interested in ingredients or results. They were questioning judgment. They were questioning alignment. They were questioning why Stormy would risk her brand image for a man with nothing to offer. Some defenders argue that all publicity is good publicity. That idea may work for entertainers, but it does not work for consumer brands. Beauty brands rely on trust. Customers are not just buying hair products, they are buying reassurance. They want reliability and consistency. By associating with Martell, Stormy weakened that reassurance. It's also important to note that Martell benefited far more from this situation than Stormy did. He gained relevance. He gained access to a large female audience. He gained another chance to speak without accountability. Stormy gained backlash. That imbalance tells the real story. If this had been a smart partnership, both sides would have benefited. They didn't. Canvas Beauty does not need Martell Holt if the product truly stands on its own. Strong products sell themselves. When brands start leaning on controversy, it usually means the product is no longer the main attraction. That is the real issue here. Stormy did not choose Martell because he adds value. She chose him because she needed distraction. She needed noise loud enough to drown out questions about lawsuits, finances, and brand stability. That tactic may work for a moment, but it always comes with a cost. Once audiences see that values can be compromised for attention, trust begins to fade. Melody's silence during all of this speaks louder than any response could. She does not need to defend herself. She does not need to engage in chaos. Her absence highlights the contrast clearly. Growth does not need announcements. Stability does not argue. Martell remains stuck in the same patterns. Stormy's choice to align himself with Martell shows insecurity, not strategy. This collaboration was not forward-thinking. It was regressive. It was rooted in fear of irrelevance, not confidence in product quality. The real truth is simple. Stormy needed relevance more than she needed respect, and in making that choice, she revealed cracks in the foundation of her brand. Time will show how costly that decision was, but the warning signs are already there. This was not marketing genius. It was a red flag. At the end of the day, this situation shows the difference between building a brand on trust and building a brand on attention. One lasts, the other fades quickly. When your focus is on controversy instead of quality, the product stops being the star, and the audience starts questioning everything. Stormy's choice to bring Martell Holt into her brand space was a short-term solution with long-term consequences. It may have created noise for a moment, but it also raised questions about judgment, alignment, and values. That is not something that can be fixed overnight. Credibility takes time to earn, and it can disappear in an instant. Meanwhile, the contrast is clear. Melody has remained quiet, focused, and consistent. She does not need to chase attention because she is building stability. Martell remains in the same cycle of chaos and controversy. That difference is louder than any live or viral moment could ever be. This situation is a reminder that true success comes from integrity, consistency, and making choices that align with your values. Attention may feel powerful in the moment, but trust is what keeps a brand alive. When attention comes at the cost of respect, the outcome is rarely positive. In the end, it is up to the audience to decide. Was this marketing genius or just reality TV drama? Did this move help the brand or did it expose vulnerabilities? And most importantly, how much will this choice cost in the long run? The story is still unfolding, But one thing is already clear. The path to lasting success is built on stability, not chaos, and on credibility, not controversy.